in with the genesis of why I wanted to have this discussion. And it is a discussion because I do want to hear from you. I was on the internet, and you know that the internet, everyone's on the internet, right? And what has the internet become? Well, from its origins, it was developed as a portal for academics to communicate with one another and share research and perhaps do peer-reviewed studies more quickly. But it would help those who are in education and in research to connect on their various projects. And then somehow someone realized that there could be a more public utilization for it. And then the next thing, you got Facebook and all the crazy things that happen. So now it seems is that the internet is a wholly run subsidiary of some of our three-letter agencies in our country. And the internet is an information gathering device. We are all being surveilled by the internet. And we all have joked about, hey, I was talking about this issue with a friend, and the very next day on my phone comes this article or this advertisement for the very thing I was discussing. And I know that my phone knows what I like because without asking it, in my news feed, I get all the soccer stories about the team that I follow and all the updates related to the team that I watch the most. How do they know that? I get a lot of information about archaeological finds. I like archaeology. And in particular this year, I have just been inundated with stories from Greece. Why? Because I was in Greece earlier this year, and they're making a connection with me. Yes?
Every Thursday, when we get in the car,
Yeah.
it says 35 minutes to Dayher Allergy and Asthma Clinic. Traffic is whatever,
It
right?
knows
So
you're on your way.
It knows we're on our way.
It knows that that's a Thursday thing.
Wow, that is personal.
Yeah.
Apart from that, Bible stories or Bible archaeology follow us quickly. There's a few other things that are just always prominently on what we call my news feed as I scroll to see if there's anything important. Obviously, right now, politics is kind of in everyone's blood right now. But they are, as I said, they are surveilling us. They are gathering information about what we like and what we don't like. And they're categorizing us into different populations. And to them, it's valuable for them to know everything about me. Not just for advertisers, but even more perhaps nefarious, where they might have to find me one day if I become a troublemaker to them. So it's a little bit of an interesting development of what the internet has become. Well, of course, now most of our children only know that the internet's been around forever. I remember dating my wife and we didn't have email or anything like that. Now it's just replete. But I'm a consumer of these articles, and I know the phrase clickbait. They're trying to get me to go to their website, and most of the soccer ones, I just don't look at them because you get to that page and all it is pop-ups and stuff, and then my phone just bogs down, and it's like, so I know they're trying to get me to click on things because they want me to spend more time on the internet, and they want me to see advertisers. Well, I came across this one article that is the genesis for our conversation today. And it was entitled 10 Things Scientists Can't Explain and Attribute to God. And when I read that story, I thought, have we arrived here? Have they finally figured it out that this world is so uniquely designed and created that it is not just a random chaotic event that brought everything together. So yeah,
Is that supposed to show up there?
that is supposed to show up there. This is the article that I cannot find. It disappeared.
And it's supposed to be up there?
What I'm saying is that
Oh,
I said, I'm going to save this. Can you turn the air conditioner to 74? Because I don't want to have that thing keep coming on. What I did is I said, I'm just going to keep this open on my browser.
oh, okay.
And then right before today, a couple days ago, this replaced it. And I thought, what's going on? Why would they take probably one of the best articles I've ever read on the internet away from me? Because it actually was compelling, and it was like, to me, it was admitting that
That's why.
the materialistic worldview
That's why.
is bankrupt.
Disinformation,
Disinformation.
misinformation.
Misinformation.
Why-
Someone at MSN or Microsoft, whatever this particular browser, just decided this story wasn't going to continue to be on the internet. And I will tell you this, that as soon as I saved that on my browser, I was hit with, and I've got some of them up here, why the Bible isn't true, why not to believe in God. And so that's kind of what happened. That's what transpired, was my, whoa, look at this. They're finally realizing it. And then it just got followed with all the website, clicks, advertisements saying, maybe you should consider why the universe is really a physical phenomenon and not a spiritual one. So I did find this article, and it still is up, and I think it closely relates to the article that I had. I know if I could go on a Wayback Machine, I can find that old article, because everything that's been on the internet will
It's
stay
on
on the
here
internet.
forever.
Unless they remove it like that article that got
The
removed.
beach bit or whatever. Oh, what?
Oh, it's
No,
still
no,
there
yeah,
somewhere.
it's still there on somebody's computer. You can find that
Yeah,
article.
unless you printed the article out.
Right.
Probably.
So here's a similar article that is going to give compelling reasons for why maybe you might want to think that God exists. And it is all related to creation and how the world got here. Cosmology, microbiology. It's everything that, again, sort of probably reflects a lot of what's been posted in a text like this. So I wanted to go through these. I wanted to get your input, maybe some of your clarification. I don't want to be the main lecturer today. I want to know if any of you get energized to speak up, to please do. So their first discussion here, and I'm sorry for the advertisements. That's why they want me to look at these articles, right? I'm sorry, I'm over 60, so they're going to be giving me over 60 advertisements. Sorry to have to confess that. But so here's this first thing they want you to know, that the universe is fine-tuned. All right? Have we all been talking about this already for a while? Is to recognize that this universe looks at, if you look out at space and you see all the cacophony of stars and you think, wow, what an explosion made this, is to ignore some fundamental laws of nature that have us absolutely in the most perfect place to exist in the entire universe, on one of the spiral arms of the Milky Way. Okay, I've got hands. Did you want to say something, young man? Yeah.
I was thinking, since I was watching that one video you watched once, how it was showing how big the universe is, how one explosion could travel like trillions of light years.
Yeah,
across the universe.
yeah. What kind of energy force could do that? Yeah, it's a good observation.
There's been, there was an article out about at least a half a dozen years ago. That was like, I believe it was 11 parameters on this planet as to like the saline content of the ocean, the place we are around, the distance from the sun, our particular sun, to give us the temperature range that we have, things like that. The moon.
Yeah.
To be able to give us the tides that, and various things like that scientists say it's almost like too big of a
Coincidence.
possibility
Yeah.
to have all those things work together to allow for life that we know as we know.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe
Perfect.
there could be other sort of life with the different parameters, but
Yes. Maybe there could be a planet where a microorganism could exist, but the type of life that we have. So yeah, you were going down the right track, and you're going to see some slides that also confirm that. What's interesting to me is that this particular section says, this revelation suggests that a creator is intentionally involved in this balance, the balance of everything being fine-tuned, and engines are fine-tuned, and if something goes wrong with a cam or if there's a leak or a break anywhere, that engine is not going to run. It's going to blow up. And when you consider all the parameters that allow us to exist here, and there's hundreds of them, you're not getting life here on this planet if any of those parameters deviate. Yes, this young man is interested in talking.
Yeah, I mean, scientists have done some studies, and they say that there's more stars in the universe than there's grains of sand on the earth. So how did the explosion do that? And how did the explosion make different kinds of materials like water and sand
Exactly.
and glass?
These are good questions. I don't know if we have any real answers to them that everyone in the scientific community agrees with. But I remember asking that same question of a astronomer is how come the Earth is solid and Jupiter is gas? Yeah.
Because you need the gas giants out there to catch the incoming, whatever's incoming.
That's right.
To protect the Earth.
But it gets to be gas and we're solid. Some planets, it just, I don't have the scientific knowledge to understand how come we got a molten core and
Well, if it would be a solid thing that big.
it would suck everything into
Yes.
it. Yeah, but the thing is why isn't it? I don't know. There's got a lot of gravity there in Jupiter.
Yeah, but there
Even
would
though it's
be
a
even
gas
more.
giant, there's got to be something material to it.
The way I understand it, our solar system is unique that the gas giants are further out. Because they look
Yep.
at these other solar systems and they're usually closer to the star.
Okay.
And then the planets like ours are further out.
Yes, that would make sense to me.
It's kind of reverse in our solar system.
I get that. That's what I.
Because until they started being able to detect these other planets, they basically thought that, generally speaking, the gas giants were further away from the sun.
Yeah.
So, you're right, that one threw them a curveball.
And then you've got some rotating in different directions. All of them seem to rotate the right way, except there's this one that goes this way.
Yeah, elliptical rather than.
Yeah.
or
It's like from
whatever
pole
it's
to
a-
pole rather than
a
around
thingy
its.
mabob like this.
All right. Okay, one last one, bro.
So how did a big fiery explosion go from something that evaporates water into water?
I don't know. This is good. These are all fundamental elements of the universe that somehow find their place in the right way. Well, anyways, here's this article continuing on about, hey, you might want to think about a God being behind everything rather than just random coincidence. And it's the 4 fundamental forces that, again, if these weren't all fine-tuned, if one of these forces was more powerful or less powerful, you would not have the universe that that we have today. Not many of us are thinking about the strong nuclear force and the weak nuclear force. And here's the next question. Are these forces consistent throughout the entire universe? Or could there be a different universe? So, no, we're only in one universe, a different part of the universe that has different parameters. And it seems that the whole universe consists off of these 4 forces that keep everything together. Yes?
I was just within the last few months, with the James Webb Telescope.
Yes.
I saw something
Things are changing with that.
with that they think that there's areas of the universe that have slightly different relations of those things.
That's why I brought it up like that.
And I'm just going, oh, that's quite interesting.
That would be very confusing. But I guess you could say it could be a possibility. But I don't know, between the space that where we are and the space where things could be different, seems like that would be a rippling effect of trouble.
So along that line, your first slide talking about the uniformity of things.
Yes.
And then with that question, the non-uniformity of things, it made me wonder, if there is a non-uniformity and we're expecting it to be uniform, then the calculations and so forth are going to be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're assuming something that isn't true. And so how do you go beyond that assumption? You would have to go to the place that you wanted to experiment with.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not possible.
Right.
It's too far away, potentially, for us to visit that planet or.
And it can't be science unless you actually test it and observe it.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Science supposedly is testable, but there's all these assumptions.
Yeah.
And because they're all of these assumptions, it's kind of like the whole redshift problem that, when they discovered that, light traveling through space, and then they discovered the redshift problem 100 years ago.
They've got a slide about that.
Yeah, so, is that here?
It's coming.
So anyway, I mean, and that's the thing, there's this redshift,
Yeah.
but then you go beyond redshift. And
What's the word you're using?
Red
red
shift.
Okay, redshift. So anyway, sorry.
No,
No.
I want to have this conversation. Here is the famous phrase called the Earth being in the Goldilocks zone. That the angle of the Earth, its rotation, its distance from the sun, the seasons that it produces, the moon, the satellite that orbits us, all of these things make for life to be as perfectly as wonderful as possible, as far as how we enjoy life here. It's interesting that the southern hemisphere is more wet than the northern hemisphere. There have been some great speculations about polar axis flipping or the magnetic poles flipping, that inside the Earth is a giant iron generator that's creating an ionosphere that bats away the harmful rays from the sun. There's magnetism under the Earth. There's even more water that's on the Earth. that the earth creates lava, oil, diamonds. I mean, it's a machine in itself, doing amazing things to even permit the continents to drift over time. Yes.
And our molten core doesn't even spin at the same rate as the Earth, which I think helps keep it molten. But,
Oh, very
I
interesting.
mean, that's just, I don't know if scientists say that, but I think that would be a thing that, would help keep it to stay molten and keep its temperature up.
They have,
So it wouldn't cool
there
down
have
as
been
fast.
some articles about the Earth's core slowing down and what the implications of that might be. But if the Earth has been here for millions and millions of years, it could have gone through all kinds of different, I guess I'm going to say with the word systems of motion. I don't know. I don't think I believe that the Earth was here millions and millions of years, but other websites will definitely swap me down for that. Okay, the atmosphere, and you had already brought this up, the atmosphere itself. This is very interesting. If you look at the oxygen and the nitrogen, okay, what is our atmosphere made out of mostly? Nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and carbon, as I remember it. And this article right here said, yeah, if our oxygen levels were different, this world could combust, or none of us could live here.
It's only 10%, right?
Yeah, it's a very
And the other
small
is
amount in
90%.
comparison to nitrogen. Yeah.
So on the millions and millions of years, or 4.5 billion of years, that's the
Yeah, right,
Earth
right.
has been formed by what they are saying. They say that the original saline content of the ocean and the atmospheric gases
Mm-hmm.
were in different ratios
Yeah.
than they are now. So it took, so we as humans couldn't have been around at the beginning of the Earth
That's
by
a theory, right?
that theory.
Yeah.
And so it took a long time of the plants creating more oxygen in the
Oh.
atmosphere to be able to allow,
Mm-hmm.
mammal life to start,
Yeah.
to form from the, I guess, primordial ooze.
There you go.
Well, so here's a mathematical problem for evolution. And it's a serious problem, because if you take the dinosaurs that are fully developed
Their bones were different.
animals at 65 million years ago and before.
Yeah.
Then if you take all the zeros out, and of when life supposedly started at 4.5 billion years ago, and then 65 million years ago, you have 450 years divided by 65, and what that is the number of evolutionary combinations
Mm.
that it would take to develop a full animal. It's just like makes zero sense,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the math.
Yeah. And
Something along that line.
and the conditions of the Earth right now. We know that the Earth in its rotation is slowing down, like a half a quarter second every year. And if you run that back 65 million years, how fast would have the Earth been spinning? The moon obviously is also every year is getting a little bit further and further away from us. If you had to run that back 65 million years, that thing would be rolling across the surface of the Earth.
Oh yeah, and the rivers that drain into the ocean, they haven't filled up the ocean yet, or whatever.
And then I have another thought that just hit me, and because there's a doctor here, and I just want to bring this up, and not to put anyone on the spot, but I've heard some people getting treated in barometric chambers, like they go into this room where it's highly oxygenated, and I guess the pressure, even the PSI of the air pressure changes, And
Because
it
the winds?
actually, well, it actually is a healing
Oh, okay.
for certain conditions that people have. What am I talking about?
You're talking about like an iron lung,
No,
not
no.
like that?
I'm talking about, I have
What, for
a good
polio?
friend,
Raising the atmospheric pressure.
yes, whose wife had, I guess it was a lung problem, and they put her inside of this thing, and it's just like super oxygenated, and the PSI changes, and it's healing her to go through this protocol.
Hmm.
You know anything about that?
It was to help her
What
bowels.
disease?
Her bowels? Is that like a common practice?
Like wound healing as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I'm just wondering if Adam and Eve lived in an environment that was more like that, and they could live longer, and there was more pressure. I don't know. I'm just out of the box right now. Okay, the implications of a fine-tuned universe will bring skeptics out who will propose an alternative multiverse theory, suggesting that this is one universe and there's possibly other realms of existence where other universes have different quantifiable measurements, but we just happen to be in the one that allows for life.
A multiverse.
The mo-
Yes, people are making movies about that,
Yes.
but they say the problem with that is it's a faith statement, really, to believe, to say, oh, this universe is only the one of million universes that exist, and we just happen to be in it, and we just happen to live in the one that where these things work out. Is
So is that an Eastern religious view?
Why do you ask it like that?
I'm just curious.
So I found this other article that says that a physicist believes, I'm sorry for the advertising, here it says, a physicist has suggested that there is an anti-universe running backward in time, which could explain where all the antimatter went. I don't even understand all of that right now. But wouldn't you know that this gentleman's name is Naman Kumar, and he's only a PhD student at the Indian Institute of Technology. I don't know why this guy got an article on the internet, but this is one person trying to account for the troubles that exist in cosmology. And he postulates, well, maybe there's another universe, an anti-universe. It's the mirror image of us doing something else. Well, either that has to be quantifiable scientific arithmetic, or it's another faith statement.
It's an opposite reciprocal.
Okay, yeah.
The exact opposite.
Maybe it's the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
Yes.
If it was an anti-universe, then how would all the matter become antimatter from our universe becoming to that universe?
I don't know. I have to think about it for a while. But you're already getting good thoughts in your brain about it. Here's your redshift. So there was the idea that the universe was a constant stasis, and but then astronomers recognized as they looked at the different galaxies out in the universe that there was a redshift to their light that they were emitting that made it clear that all of these galaxies are flying away from us, that the universe is expanding. I want to know what the universe is expanding into. What is the space out there that the universe is taking over?
Stuff that was never there.
There's nothing there.
But now the
But
universe is expanding into the where there was nothing.
Right. I haven't had a cosmologist explain that to me with giving me a degree of confidence to say, oh, I
However-
get that.
However, we do have to worry about Andromeda, which has a blue shift to the galaxy.
That's right.
Because it's gonna, in 4.5 billion years, converge with the Milky Way.
Right. And then I've also heard that it probably won't even notice it because there's so much space between all of those galaxies. They could go probably through each other and not have one star hit each
Well,
other.
yeah, but the gravitational force will totally
Could do that.
make them in a different shape and reshape
Mhm.
them.
Hope I'm not around then.
I don't think you have to worry.
If you can conceptualize an expanding universe like a balloon,
Right.
then that which is at the edge stays at the edge. So the universe is always, you're not expanding into anything. It's always, that's always the edge.
I know, but the balloon is in a room. I mean, that's just a difficult, again, conceptually for me to think that it's just expanding, and it's just creating more space for itself.
Yeah, there's, yeah, right, there's more space within it.
Mhm. Well, okay, yes.
So how would it be expanding unless, how would they say it would be expanding unless the Big Bang is still going?
No, they think there was a point of singularity and everything exploded from that point. Although Webb is starting to challenge that theory, and I don't know where they're going to go with that theory. But the point is that the whole idea for this phrase "Big Bang" comes from this discussion, where these astronomers recognized that the universe was expanding, and it's been told that Einstein was embarrassed that he thought the world was the universe was a status quo, and he said that was one area where he miscalculated.
Recently, they discovered a black hole that's actually shooting matter or energy out of its, I guess, poles.
Yes.
And so that kind of would, to some scientists say, see, a singularity can, shoot stuff out of it,
Right.
but I heard the other thing too, where the Webb telescope is kind of challenging the Big Bang theory, and so they're just kind of going nuts at the moment, having no idea really where to go.
Yeah.
With the.
And if all the
theories.
black holes were emitting new universes, doesn't that open you up to the infinite regress argument? Well, where did that come from? Where did that come from? Where did that come from? It's got to start from somewhere. Yes, young man.
So wait, if the Big Bang made those black holes, then how would the Big Bang must have made the stuff that was coming out of the black holes?
I know. So you're with me on that one. Yes.
Theoretically, there should be no matter at all existing.
Why does anything exist at all?
Yeah.
Is the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
If there's not a designer.
because we have to then say, well, it had to come from somewhere.
Right.
Well, where did that come from? And
Exactly.
where did that-
So here's this next item that you should consider in evaluating the universe as it is, and this has all been cosmological stuff really, is if the universe is finite, if it did have a beginning, you have to determine what started it. And that is going to go beyond the realm of science, except for the fact that scientific methods are available to measure and quantify and postulate. But if it's true that everything had a beginning, something had to be the beginner-er. All right. Then going away from cosmology, they're very interested in the information in DNA. Everyone knows that Mr. Watson and Crick found this code of information as the double helix, and they found that it is a code of information. And not only is it information, it's information that can read itself with RNA and repair itself. It's like it's got a self-correcting mechanism in it. So if there's something wrong in your DNA, something comes along and fixes it. And that just seems like a crazy evolutionary development. And one of my favorite illustrations of this is if you walk along a beach and you find a CD, just a CD. Remember what CDs were? And you think, wow, what impressive. Well, that CD does nothing for you if you can't put it into a CD player, nothing to read it. So there's DNA, and as fascinating as DNA is, and it is a literal code of information that expresses itself in creating things, RNA also reads the DNA and makes the development happen, corrects any confusion in the code, repairs it. It's just a fascinating mechanism that seems like how could order have come out to create such a thing? How could chaos create such a format? Okay.
And not even such that too, is the replication to become the next generation.
Yes.
You know, from two separate entities to form a new person.
You know, for a computer to work, it has to understand the language that the person who wrote the code, the computer has to understand that language. So there's got to be this interpreter, which is the central processing unit, that takes the code and does the magic with an application. So, you know, CPU reads the code. So in other words, you've got to have a framework. If you don't have a framework, then the computer's not going to know. It's just not going to work.
That's awesome. You keep on anticipating where this slideshow is going because this is
Okay.
exactly what they did. No, that's awesome. Yeah.
Still on the evolution. How should a monkey evolve into a human? Because like, if something was gonna evolve into something, there has to be another type of thing that can evolve it into that thing. Like if a monkey has an atom,
Yes.
there has to be a second atom to
Or Eve.
there has to be a second atom to change the look of the human and what they do and how they think.
Yeah. And the process of DNA is always to correct itself, and information is already pre-programmed. It can't change into something else, and the system makes sure that it always stays what it is. Yes.
Yes, to go on to Valor's point here, it hasn't been too long that they've gone through the whole human genome, i.e.
Oh, yeah.
all the DNA that humans have and all the DNA that monkeys have. And they've said that it's like 94 or 96% the same.
Mhm.
I don't remember which one of those two, but it was one of those two.
In the 90s.
Yeah, and so we're very, very similar genetically to a monkey. But there's mutations that happen over generations. And so it's being explained that those mutations formed humans. So
So there's like a 5% difference between a dog and a person, something like that.
Even a dog?
Yeah, and it's like 3% difference between a chimpanzee and a human.
Oh.
But that difference is obviously huge.
Which person?
The one in the one, no, never mind.
To me, though,
Are you a scientist?
no, I'm not.
Okay.
But to me, I take it as God created these things and he had a good system set up there. And he only needed to modify a few things to make all these various different, to make some of these things. So, for the most part, life has DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And, even a mollusk has DNA. It's when we get to viruses that only have RNA that we see something a little different.
Hmm.
But they're a very different form of life too.
Hmm.
But I don't know if they've done the genetic thing of the mollusk to see far
how
that
much-
is, but
They're invertebrates. Okay.
So back to where he was saying that chimpanzees are like 95%
Yeah.
the same as humans. Well, there's still something that's separating us from chimpanzees. So, like, if there was evolution, there would have to be a different DNA thing to put that 5% down to make us a human. And how he just said that, like, chimpanzees were 3%.
Yeah.
The same as humans, and we are 3%, almost the same as chimpanzees, and dogs are 5%. But like chimpanzees and dogs, like then they have like no percentage they have like no percentage of each other that matches.
Well, their physical structure is a lot different. Boy, look at someone's engaged tonight.
yeah.
Yeah.
The one of the things that I see here that doesn't really make much sense is that if the Earth is billions of years old and life is millions and millions, hundreds of millions of years old, and they have these chimpanzee bones from, quarter million years ago, when man has been around for, like they say, 200,000 years, the chimpanzee bones are basically identical to current chimpanzee bones.
Mm-hmm.
So it almost is saying that there hasn't been these mutations that would.
Well, once you find your perfect area of flourishing, you found your place where you survive, and you don't need to do any more mutating because you found your safe zone. Well, this is the last slide on a presentation that says that there's evidence of higher intelligence, creator, and God. And that's somebody from Microsoft has decided that they would permit this presentation to stay online. And it basically confirms something that I've heard Christopher Neiswanger say 100 times. You can get the biggest telescope and look out, and you can get the biggest microscope and look down. You're still not going to see or understand who God is from that. You can reason that there is a God, but you don't know who he is by just looking at these two extreme areas of focus, whether cosmology or human.
Well, other than a creator.
Right. Okay, I just wanted to, for fun, play one particular video of Phil Connectly. Anyone know him? This guy was on my college campus when I was in college in California at Cal State Fullerton. I heard this guy. He's still out there on college campuses. And he's got a little
Believes
presentation.
it, but there's no miracle worker. First miracle. Existence comes from non-existence. The Big Bang. second miracle that my atheist friends believe in is order comes from chaos. Third miracle that my atheist friends believe in, life comes from non-life. Fourth miracle my atheist friends believe in is the personal comes from the non-personal. Fifth miracle that my atheist friends believe in is reason comes from non-reason. And sixthly, my atheist friends have a sixth miracle they believe in, and that is morality comes from matter. That's a miracle.
Okay, so that was just a quick little, another approach to the apologetic effort is to say, if you don't have a God in your theorizing, you're going to believe in some miracles of your own. You think that we believe in the miracles God breathed into a person, made a human being. Well, you have to believe in miracles too. You have unexplained points of your theory, like he just pointed them out. How does chaos create order? And so you are expressing a faith. One of the slides that we talked about said skeptics will bring up different theories. But I've always found that the skeptics will bring up theories, but they can never live by them, and they never embrace them. They just serve as a vehicle to say, I don't want to believe in what you're pushing. But the atheist who denies a Christian worldview, and maybe even just denies the Microsoft Network's little presentation here, still has to confess that they're believing in things that they can't prove, they can't measure. It is a faith. All right, did you have a hand up again?
No.
All right, so I'm just going to conclude. I've got this other presentation that goes hard against the Bible. And that's the thing that I've recognized. I think that this type of belief in a God here kind of gets us to Mars Hill, where, yeah, let's have a God. Let's accept the unknown God. There is a God out there. He's certainly made everything. But to be specific about who he is and what he's done, we're not going to go there. And this is kind of all the negative websites that say 16 instances where the Bible shouldn't be taken literally. So you see the turn here. They'll go for at least, yeah, we're not going to be able to answer these questions. And there has to be something intelligent out there. At least that gets people off my back. But if you're going to tell me the God of the Bible is the real Bible, I got problems with you, right? Am I doing a fair assessment there? Somebody want to make a comment on that?
I think you kind of nailed it.
Okay, so here's the things that they say we shouldn't take literally. That the earth was created in 6 days. We all know that. They don't they don't want you to believe in Noah and the ark. They don't want you to believe that the age of the earth is, thousands of years. They want you to believe other. I'm going to go through this real quick, and then we'll just have
Okay,
a concluding
thanks.
free for all. They don't want you to believe in a literal Adam and Eve. That's just too much for us to believe. They don't want us to believe in the Exodus from Egypt. I mean, one of the defining events of the whole Jewish people is something that shouldn't be believed. And there's a lot of debate that should be brought up about that particular thing. The genealogies of Jesus, they don't like that. Methuselah's age. I know we're always going down to the map for Methuselah. I mean, it's important to us. The origin of languages. They don't even know the origin of ethnicities. But why is that a problem to believe? I think the Bible's got a pretty cool description of how that happened. The conquest of Canaan? Now I'm wondering if there's political overtones in this particular presentation. The Bible's view on slavery. Supposedly Christians get a black eye for saying that the laws of Moses. I think the laws of Moses are very clear in actually bringing about freedom for slaves. A lot of conversation there. The role of women in the church. Okay, now someone does have a political objective here. I mean, out of the 16 things that you shouldn't believe in
Why
from the
would
Bible,
that make you not believe in
I don't
God?
know. Human sacrifice. What in the world?
Abraham.
Yes, exactly right. And I heard today a Muslim saying, hey, God doesn't want you sacrificing your children. Why do you accept Jesus as a sacrifice? I thought that was an interesting observation. What is this one? They don't want you to believe in the doctrine of hell.
Yeah.
How convenient is that?
I don't believe in it, I can't go there.
That's right. The coming Messiah, they don't want you to believe in the return of Jesus? Is that what that is actually saying? Yeah. The prophecy of Tyre in Isaiah, isn't that? Like, no longer will any civilization flourish there.
Ezekiel.
Oh, it's Ezekiel?
26.
Yeah. But evidently, there is a town now there. I don't know. I haven't.
But it's not in the
But it's
same
not
place
Tyre.
in Tyre. Where Tyre was is actually
Underwater.
underwater.
Oh, okay.
They couldn't spell it right either.
Oh, my.
T-I-R-E.
They don't want you to believe in, well, maybe as a reform guy, I don't know if I want you to believe in all the reform, apocalyptic events. But anyway, embracing critical reflection and faith. This is exactly what we're doing here right now. More from hope no matter what. I don't know what that means.
Hope being a subjective, I mean, look at the way Obama and,
Choose hope?
yeah, hope and change.
Yeah.
And then Harris is doing the same thing, hope and change.
Scroll,
Enjoy.
scroll down.
So-
See what it says.
You can keep the change.
I like that.
I don't know. Oh, there's another article that's kind of being a little bit fair, maybe. No, it's not even saying, it's not even giving any. Oh, it's a new article. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to have this time just to discuss some of the conversation that's taking place on the internet. I think they're giving way to the cosmological and the microscopic realities that God has to be behind everything. But when it gets to specifics about what the Bible reveals, they're going to step on your feet. All right. Last closing thoughts and discussion.
I had a conversation with a guy one time, and we were talking about the Bible and creation, and he said, creation is magnificent. You can see stars and galaxies and all this stuff, and it's pretty incredible, and even what you've shown already. And I asked him, I said, so you believe God created everything? And he goes, yeah. And this guy was agnostic. And I said, so an all-powerful God created everything, but then he could not tell us what he has done in a book or by prophecy or apostles and prophets and so forth, and make the Bible. So he couldn't do that. He can make everything, but he can't do that. And the guy was speechless. He
That's
never
it.
thought of it like
That's very good.
that. So, yeah, he's the same.
Along with just what you've said, the shying away from the serious things because it addresses faith seriously. They're catering to the market, and the market likes tabloid journalism
Mm.
as opposed to anything serious. It's just the,
Sensationalism.
yeah, sensationalism. See, this silly stuff and the other serious stuff, who wants that really? There's a market, I think, majority probably like the really frivolous.
Yeah.
It's part of it, one element maybe.
One person said something I thought was really profound, and I'll get to it in a second, was people, maybe this is a Southern thing, they have enough God to not want to deal with, oh, this is it. He said, we are more prone to believe in the soundbite and in the rumor and in the conspiracy rather than to stop and do our own study to find out if things are really true. And so the reason why, certain conspiracy theories are always so popular is because we'd rather talk about that than actually do some serious investigation, reflection, study. And he was saying that about the Bible. He was like, people believe the strangest things about the Bible that aren't even in the Bible, and they won't even spend time trying to uncover the validity of what they're saying. They just heard it from somewhere. I'll take that as a soundbite. I'll run with it. And the critique is that people aren't being serious about their faith. They're not doing the research. They're not doing the investigation. They're just taking little sound bites.
They're not a Berean.
Very good. All right, young man, maybe you can take us home.
Back in the 16 instances where the Bible has flaws, it says about how we shouldn't believe in the flood all over the world. Well, if you look at many other cultures that have they place.
They have stories about their
False
histories.
You can look at their histories, and most of them have stories about a worldwide flood, and a man made a giant boat and put 2 of each kind of animal on
Yep.
the ark.
A lot of ancient cultures do have a story like that. Very good. All right.
Okay, so the reason that they are so upset with the Bible and trying to disprove it is because when you look at the Bible, you're looking at a God who's a personal God.
Hmm.
And if you have a personal God, that means he's interested in you. Okay? And if he's interested in you, then you need to be interested in him.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in him, then you need to know what he wants. And obviously, what he wants is something that they don't want to have anything to do with. And so, therefore, I'm going to reject the whole thing,
Mm,
and then I'm off the hook, so to speak.
so to speak. That's right. Yeah.
I've known people that do know that God is a personal God, but they don't want to do anything now because God will spoil their fun.
Right.
And so they want to push God off till a time way in the future.
That's Constantine.
And, and I says, well, hope you live that long, because if you go first,
Right.
and haven't accepted him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was answering my own question. I think Christian needs to ask a question. His turn.
Yes.
All right. We'll take this last one and then we'll close in prayer.
So in the Tower of Babel, how it says not to believe it, well then how did all of these different languages just pop up how did all these languages pop up? But then they're point to, they think they're like, oh, just some other person made these languages. Well then, how, when all these Roman emperors became king, none of them made Latin.
Right.
Like
Right.
they just were speaking it when they were born. Like, yeah. I
They
know how to
learned
speak
it.
Latin.
I have something even more compelling than that. Why does every language all obey the same rules of language, even though languages are different?
Nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs.
They all follow the same
Yeah,
rules.
yeah, right.
So that tells you that there's something working above the artifact. You know, there's already laws that exist for creation to even fill. The laws were there first before the material came to obey the laws. And there's another apologetic to say, look at, you can't even have stuff coalesce unless there were existing physical laws to allow that to happen. So, all right, I appreciate you coming out.
I didn't
Thank
finish
you.
my
I'm gonna have a prayer and we'll discuss afterwards. You little
Scientist.
bomb. Lord in heaven, we pray that your truth would permeate our hearts. We find that when the more we learn of who you are and how you've done things, the more we are in awe of what you've done and so deserving of our worship and affection. And help us, Lord, to be able communicators of your glories to others. Thank you for this night that we could be together to discuss these matters. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Help that poor boy.
I'm gonna help that boy.
He is his mother's son.
It is funny, the more they discover, the more they discover that they don't